And then
ASCSU officials became aware of traces.
And then stick around because we have updates on the Cameron Peak fire and COVID testing in the dorms, all that and more at CTV News starting now.
Good evening, Rams. I'm Kenneth Frederick.
And I'm Sophia Ridley. Welcome to the first Thursday night news show. A lot has happened this week, so let's get right into it.
The ASCSU debates for the election coming next week took place Tuesday and last night. Candidates took to the stage to prove why they're the right choice for their roles in the ASCSU.
Tuesday night was the debate for Speaker of the Senate. Candidates Kyle Hill, Christian Dixon, Tristan Reyes, and Liz Today talked on issues that would also come up at the presidential debate the following day.
I would like to create more accessibility to ASCSU events. I would like to really encourage a community where people can come in and talk to their representatives and talk to their senators and get to know them as people. I think it's incredibly important.
When candidates were asked about the three biggest issues on campus, different topics like these were discussed.
I would say the top three issues that that students are facing on this campus today is systemic racism, is inequality in student fees and tuition, and as well as feeling heard in the classroom.
An issue that came up in both speaker and presidential debates was student general awareness of ASCSU and what the organization does for them. Many candidates in both debates thought the solution was to create a place where students could come and make their voices heard rather than interpreted.
We've reached out to students within our student organizations, providing opportunities to engage in town halls, engage in activities such as, voicing what they want to see us do within our organizations, and we'll bring that same passion and energy to the ASCSU presidency and vice presidency.
The presidential ticket debate featured the parties of Slauson McKay, Taylor and Schindler, Tovar and Jackson, as well as Pena and Gebretzidik. Candidates discussed many of the same issues, such as COVID relief and diversity.
That means implementing a diversity and inclusion training module for all students, as well as revising our code so that we can better support this community.
Also, inclusion on campus was a large part of the debate. All of the candidates had different ideas about how they were going to address the issue. Slauson McKay planned to create an educational program to teach about diversity and inclusion, much like alcohol EDU courses that are already taken by students. Taylor and Schindler said they would include diversity in their cabinet members, who would then provide diverse perspectives and backgrounds. Tovar and Jackson wanted to reach out to students to come up with a definition for hate speech and make a program to re-educate those who use it on campus. Pena and Gebretzidik are running on their promise for unity for the community. They plan to work closely with SDPS offices to make sure that they are representing communities as best they can.
How can Colorado weather get any crazier?
Whoever wins is determined by you. Students can vote for both Speaker of the Senate and President on RamWeb starting September 14th. Polls will close on September 16th at 4 p.m.
Earlier this week, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention ordered a federal block on certain evictions. This order will safeguard Fort Collins residents who make less than $99,000 for singles and $198,000 for couples. The CDC believes that evictions could pose a threat to the slowing of the spread of COVID. Although this is a federal order, different judges will most likely make the final decision whether or not the CDC's order relates to the eviction. Fort Collins city officials are trying to create a program to provide legal assistance to those possibly being evicted.
This semester has already been a bit of an odd one in terms of how things are being done. And for some of the students in the dorms, things have taken a rather unfortunate turn.
Of COVID-19 and some of the wastewater around campus. CTV reached out to Del Rey Sierravola, a public safety and risk communications manager, who was able to provide us a link to a website that answered a majority of our questions. From the website, we were able to find out that two of the housing areas the university has were affected in this situation, one being all of Braden Hall and the others being one of the buildings in University Village. They were mandated to do a university's free testing, as well as all employees who worked in the Moby and Durrell, as well as all members of Kappa Sigma after 5 positive confirmed cases from that frat. Other members of the CSU community were also strongly encouraged to get testing done, such as students who are living in Corbett Hall, fraternity members living around the city, and graduate teaching assistants who have a lot of in-person contact with students. It is looking as though CSU will continue to test wastewater samples, as well as update information whenever they can to the students and public through this website and emails. Remember, Every morning you should be filling out your daily symptom checkers and staying home if you meet any of the criteria. If you're worried that you or someone that you have come into contact with may have COVID-19, you can go to one of the COVID-19 testing sites found around Fort Collins or ones found on campus.
If you wish to keep updated on this info, you can go to covidrecovery.colostate.edu/covid-testing/ for more info.
How can Colorado weather get any crazier? On Monday, we saw orange skies, ash falling like snow, and temperatures as high as 91 degrees, only to have real snow and temperatures of 32 degrees the next day. The Cameron Peak Fire has reached almost 100,000 acres with only 4% containment. Colorado State University biology student Calder McCarthy describes the weather as apocalyptic.
It was wild. I went outside of my room and it looked like an apocalypse, and I couldn't even see over the horizon, and it was just like red skies and a bunch of ash falling from the sky. And it was like it was snowing, but it wasn't snowing. And then the next day I woke up and it was snowing even more, but like real snow, and it was all slushy, and it just changed from like 80-degree weather with like fires and smoke and stuff to like snowing and slush and kind of gross outside.
Thanks to the Coronavirus Relief Federal Fund, the City of Fort Collins will be providing a $1.5 million in financial assistance to small business owners and nonprofits. The amount of aid given to each business can be up to $7,500. The eligibility requirements include being physically located in the City of Fort Collins, having a gross revenue under $2 million, and having been in operation since July of 2019. Josh Burks, the Economic Health Director of Fort Collins, said, "Ultimately, if we can help ease some economic impacts, businesses can focus on keeping doors open and their workforce intact."
Earlier this week, Kyrie Brown was formally charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder. Last month, Brown stole a 2017 Toyota RAV4 and listed it for sale. Joseph and Joseline Rowland met him with a few $1,000s in cash for the car. Brown told the couple he had the wrong title and convinced them to follow him to an apartment complex near South Parker Road. He then pulled a gun on them and shot both Joseph and his wife, with their car started to move forward. The couple died at the medical center of Aurora within minutes of each other. They left behind 5 children. In years past, Colorado State University has celebrated the College of Agricultural Sciences Ag Day, filled with festivities and gatherings that bring Colorado and ag together. However, after the Mountain West Conference chose to postpone all intercollegiate sports, CSU decided to forego the in-person protein barbecue that was set to take place on September 19th. In its place, there will be a week's worth of virtual and at-home opportunities to celebrate. Within the week-long celebration, beginning on September 14th, CSU plans to talk about the history of agriculture, host a few special guests, and even share recipes to help create your own at-home barbecue.
More than 600 people could be laid off with the latest in RTD budget cuts. With a pay gap of almost $170 million, RTD is looking at cutting up to 30% of jobs. Due to dramatic declines in ridership during the pandemic, RTD will most likely run out of funding to keep staff on the payroll by the end of the year. Other proposals to close the $170 million gap include shelving the long-awaited Fast Track project. This project plans to extend the B line from Denver to Longmont, but it costs an estimated of $1.5 billion, with less than $150 million saved.
Although Homecoming and Family Weekend may look different this year, the purpose remains very clear: celebrating unity within Colorado State University. From October 1st through the 3rd, CSU will light the A, run the virtual 5K, and of course, show off Ram Pride. With Spirit Day taking place on Saturday, October 3rd, CSU encourages all students and alumni alike to break out their green and gold and show the world by posting it on social media with the hashtag CSU Homecoming. For more details on Homecoming Weekend 2020, you can visit homecoming.colostate.edu.
The The pandemic has caused some serious blues, but Fort Collins comedian David Rodriguez wants to change that. Rodriguez plans to open his very own comedy club, which would be the first here in Fort Collins in 3 decades. Rodriguez hopes to find a space that is entirely their own, nothing rented out on weekends in a bar or on a stage. Although the idea of a comedy club in the middle of the pandemic seems risky, Rodriguez is optimistic that come early next year, people will want a place to laugh.
Well, folks, that's all we have for the news. Stick around to see what's next in entertainment with Angel Cooper. Up next.
Listen, you're my friend.
I noticed you haven't really been yourself recently.
Yeah, I feel like something's up.
How are you?
Are you okay?
Is there anything you want to talk about?
I just want to know how you're feeling.
And listen, even if you don't know what to say, I'm here to talk.
No matter what you're going through,
I just want you to know I'm here.
I've got your back.
when you want to talk, I'm here.
Hey Rams, I'm Angel Cooper, and I'm your entertainment anchor for tonight. I hope everyone's having a good week, and I have some exciting entertainment news to share with you. Let's get started. Will Smith announced Tuesday on his YouTube channel, Fresh Prince reboot coming to Peacock. Smith quoted in the video, "We have just officially closed the deal with Peacock with a 2-season order from pitch." End of quote. The video was a virtual call with the Fresh Prince cast and the writer and director Morgan Cooper. The new series will be called Bel-Air. Bel-Air will be set in modern-day America. I can't wait to see what Smith and his castmates have in store for Bel-Air. Rove is a new restaurant that opened on South College Avenue. After being in the works for part of the year, Rove opened to the public on July 30th. Rove marks a new start for the South College Avenue, which was formerly occupied by mainline Owl House before it closed in September 2018. Rove is open every day of the week with varying hours. Speaking of restaurants, I gotta check out a factory that focuses on the sweeter things in life.
If you've been having a sweet tooth, Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory can be an option to soothe your sweet tooth.
Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory was established in 1981 in Durango, Colorado. I myself purchased both the Fort Collins store and the Loveland store in January of 2008.
They still haven't changed the way how they make their tasty treats.
Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory is unique in the sense of a chocolate store. We are the only one in the country still that hand makes our gourmet chocolates at the factory. We are not machine automated. We still make everything by hand.
The factory has a lot of flavors that you can try.
Hi, I'm with Troubles the Bear, the Rocky Mountain mascot, and I'm going to try some pumpkin spice.
Now, with all this delicious chocolate, Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory had to change some of their safety procedures due to COVID-19.
Well, prior to opening the store, we came in and did a full cleaning of the entire store, sanitized everything top to bottom. Every 30 minutes we have a checklist that we go down.
During the midst of a pandemic, this factory is working to sweeten up people's lives.
Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory stands heads above the rest. Our guitar gourmet chocolate is made specifically for us and no one else. You cannot get this chocolate at any other chocolate factory.
The factory is located in Foothills Mall in Fort Collins. They are open from Monday through Thursdays at 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. and Sundays 12 to 6 p.m. If you like listening to jazz music, well, A Skillet has live jazz music every Wednesday through Sunday night. They have skilled musicians from 40 swings, the classic 50s rhythms, and blues, and the jazz and soul era of the 60s with creating a unique vintage sound. A Skillet will have special guests every week. This Friday, they'll be having Taylor Took. He's a singer and songwriter, guitarist, and pianist from Boulder, Colorado, and you certainly don't want to miss him. For more information, go to askillet.com. If you didn't know, September 15th is National Latinx Heritage Month and will end October 15th. El Centro, a cultural center at Carlos State University, will be hosting different celebrations to honor Latinx Heritage Month. On Monday, El Centro will have Latinx Heritage Month kickoff event all day, and KCSU 90.5 SM will be playing Spanish music on Tuesday. El Centro will have Loteria Night at 6 to 7 p.m. on Zoom. To find out more information, go to www.elcentral.carlosstate.edu. Well, Rams, that's all I got for you this week. Stay tuned after the break to hear Janae Moran talk about warm temperatures coming up next week.
It takes less than 1 minute to find out if you may have prediabetes. You can do it here. But you probably won't. You're busy. Kids, work, show coming back in 48 seconds. So let's do this now. Hold up one finger if you're a man, women 0. 3 more fingers if you're over 60, 2 over 50, 1 over 40. If you're not sure, keep in mind you're sitting on a couch right now, so 1 more finger if you're not very active. 1 finger if yes, 0 if no. 1 yes, 0 no. Next, find the body type that looks most like you and hold up that many fingers while I look around awkwardly. And that's it. If you're holding up 5 fingers or more, you probably have prediabetes. Sorry to be so blunt, but hey, you're busy. Just go to the site.
Good evening, Rams. Janae here with the Thursday night weather. Today we will be talking about what the weather will look like for this week. Let's go ahead and take a look at our current conditions. Right now we are at 49 degrees with winds at 7 miles per hour, south-southeast, humidity at 66, and the sunset at 7:16 p.m. Let's take a look at what it was like on campus today. As you can see here, we still have some green areas, but not too much. The snow really did a good job trying to kill those flowers. A few students are also here riding their bikes around, so it's still pretty good weather. The sunflowers here are slowly dying as well, and you can see here a bit of wind. So for our overnight lows, it looks like on our western side we will be in the 30s except for Grand Junction at 44 degrees. On our I-25 corridor, we will also be in the 30s except for Denver at 40 degrees. And then along our eastern side, we will be in the 30s as well, with Craig at 35, and then Grand Junction over on 44 degrees. For tomorrow's highs, it looks like we will be in the 60s on the west side, 68 in Craig, and then Grand Junction again are high at 71 degrees, and Vail at 58. On our I-25 corridor, it looks like we will be in the 60s and 70s, Fort Collins at 67, Denver at 71, Colorado Springs 66, and then Pueblo at 73 degrees. And then on our eastern side, it looks like we will be also in the 60s with Grand Junction, Sterling at 70 degrees. Let's take a look at tomorrow's forecast. Tomorrow's forecast, it looks like we will be at 67 degrees high, and then our low at 45 degrees with a mix of sunshine and clouds. Winds coming in from south-southwest with 5 to 10 miles per hour, and then the sun setting at 7:14 p.m. For this week, we will be Friday again at 67 degrees, Saturday at 79, and then Sunday at 82, Monday 84, Tuesday at 86, and then our low on Tuesday will be at 51 degrees. It looks like we will be really hot this week. So that is all we have for the weather, but don't go away just yet. Stick around and see what's happening in sports. Back with Brandon right after the break.
Queen is just my everything. Right now, I wouldn't know where my life would be without her.
They say chivalry is dead. It's not. Terrence is a gentleman. He opens doors. His smile did it. His smile, his eyes, his knowledge. My landlord, he decided that he wanted me to move based on the fact that I was transgender. It takes me to a place of no hope. It takes me to a place of loneliness. It saddens me. When you discriminate against somebody in housing, where do these people go? Let's just respect people in everyday life for just being human.
Welcome back from the break, Rams, and to the Blitz, hosted by yours truly, Brendan Fairbairn. Devastating news for the Denver Broncos defense came yesterday when 8-time Pro Bowler Von Miller was injured on the last play of practice. After going through testing, Miller will reportedly undergo surgery for the injury. Officially classified as a dislocated peroneal tendon, the timeline to return is usually 5 to 6 months. The best case scenario is 3 months. The Broncos definitely hope their all-pro pass rusher can return in time for a late playoff push. This is Miller's first injury since the 2013 season after tearing his ACL. Expect second-year linebacker from Nevada Malik Reed to take place for the injured Von Miller. Also keep your eyes out for the Broncos to bring in a veteran pass rusher like Clay Matthews, Cameron Wake, or Ziggy Ansah for more depth at the linebacker position. In more positive news, former Colorado State wide receiver Olabisi Johnson has been named the number 2 receiver for the Minnesota Vikings. Johnson was selected in last year's draft at 247th overall in the 7th round, making this a substantial leap up the depth chart for BC as he only had 31 receptions, 294 yards, and 3 touchdowns in his rookie campaign. The opportunity arose once former Vikings wide receiver Stephon Diggs signed with the Buffalo Bills in the offseason. Expect Johnson to battle out that number 2 receiver position through the season with the rookie first-rounder from LSU, Justin Jefferson. Speaking of people defying the odds for contender or pretender, I'm going to look at the possible Cinderella story of the 6th seed New York Islanders. The Islanders have already sent home the 3rd seed Washington Capitals and 1st seed Philadelphia Flyers. And now they are now faced with the daunting task of playing the number 2 seed Tampa Bay Lightning. First thing New York needs to work on, they need a better check line on center Braden Point. In Game 1, he had 2 goals, 3 assists, and only 17 minutes of ice time. In the series, they showed that they were really tired from the long series with the Philadelphia Flyers. Now moving on to penalties and power plays. The Islanders have 35 penalty minutes, and they're only 1 of 9 on power plays. They really need to capitalize on the power plays to have any chance in this series. It's not looking all bad. On offense, they're outscoring opponents 42-23 coming into the series. A lot of this has to do with left wing Anthony Buehmiller. He is tied for the league for 3rd in goals, and also forward Matthew Barzal is 2nd team All-Pro this year. New York's ability to roll forward lines and keep constant pressure on the puck has been their biggest key to success. Nothing against the Islanders. I think they've done great, especially as a 6th seed, but they're pretenders in my book. I just don't see them beating the Lightning. But hey, I might not be completely sold on the Islanders' odds to win the Stanley Cup, but I sure am confident on these picks for what are the odds this week. So for money line, I have the Panthers versus the Las Vegas Raiders. The Panthers are at plus 150. Teddy Bridgewater has proved to be an efficient starter with a good supporting cast. Last year with the Saints, he went 5-0 in Drew Brees' absence. In those 5 games, Bridgewater had 9 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and 1,384 passing yards. It's also good to note the Raiders had the 2nd worst passing defense in 2019. Expect DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson to have a big game. Now moving on to over and under, the Celtics versus Raptors Game 7. The line is at 205.5. Take the under on this one. The under has hit for the Raptors and Celtics game 6 of the last 7 times. And the only reason the over hit the last game is because it went into double overtime. That game doesn't go into overtime. The under hits. Take the under in Game 7. Absolute lock. Now it's time for Offensive Rookie of the Year odds. Joe Burrow is heavily favored at plus 250.
For good reason. In his senior Heisman-winning season, Burrow had 5,601 passing yards, 60 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. I also really like his weapons in A.J. Green, who is a Pro Bowl wide receiver when healthy, Tyler Boyd coming off 2 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons, and T. Higgins, an absolute steal out of Clemson in the second round, and Joe Mixon. But hey, if you're not liking those 250 odds and you're feeling a little bit risky, take Jerry Jeudy at plus 1,600. He was the best receiver in the draft in my opinion, and he's the number 2 receiver for the Denver Broncos. His route running puts him above anyone else. Don't bet the house on him, but at 1,600 odds, it's definitely take a good look at. Now for my CSU picks. CSU is supposed to play University of Northern Colorado this week, but due to COVID, that's obviously not going to happen. I have my CSU odds at minus 350. CSU is undefeated against UNC, 20-0, and UNC went 2-10 last year. So pretty self-explanatory right there. Over under, I have it at 55.5. Last matchup went over 68 points. And I know that was a few years ago, but Coach Adazio's experience in the ACC and SEC will easily outcoach Ed McCaffrey's 2 years of high school football. Now moving on to spread, I have them at minus 14 for CSU. UNC was outscored by opponents 212 points last year. Absolutely terrible. Now, you give a Big Sky conference over a Mountain West team. I'm going to take Mountain West every single time. Now it's time for our final segment, Buzzer Beater. Last week I went 3-1, and this week I'm even more confident in my picks. Let's get it started. For the first matchup, Broncos versus Titans. This is a revenge game for Jarrell Casey after being traded for a 7th round pick. Put some respect on his name. Broncos run game too much. Broncos win. Seahawks versus Falcons. Adams and Wagner. Absolutely scary combo. Give me the Seahawks. Nuggets versus Clippers. For some reason, Nuggets play better with their back against the wall. Expected Game 6 in the series. Nuggets in Game 5. Mets versus Blue Jays. Mets are starting their best pitcher, Jacob deGrom, who has a 1.6 earned run average, but the Blue Jays just have better hitters with Fiasco Hernandez. It's second in the league for home runs. I like the Blue Jays. Colorado State versus Fresno State. The Rams lost last year, the Rams won last year, 41-31, and they have transfer quarterback Jake Haener from Washington. I like Colorado State. Lightning versus Islanders. Islanders offense isn't far behind. Expect them to capitalize on Lightning mistake. Islanders win this one. Knights versus Stars. Knights have won with Leonard Fleury at starting goalie and shutout. I like the Knights in this one. Those are my picks for this week. We'll see how I do. Below fans, that's all I have for tonight. Tune in next week for my analysis of the NBA Conference Finals. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you on Monday.